Here are the 25 best zombie survival games on Nintendo Switch 2, every one of them fully released and ready to play right now. Opening the list at number 1 is Resident Evil Requiem, the most significant zombie survival release on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. Developed by Capcom, this 9th mainline entry in the franchise is set 30 years after the destruction of Raccoon City and marks the return of Leon S. Kennedy in a new survival horror context. The game introduces a first-in-series mechanic that lets players switch freely between first-person and third-person perspective at any point during play, giving each encounter a distinct and personal level of tension depending on what the player prefers. The stalker enemy design is relentless and inventive, and the resource management and puzzle systems that define the series are as sharp as ever. It is the defining zombie game on Switch 2 right now. Number 2 is Dying Light the Beast, the most kinetic and physically demanding zombie survival experience available on the platform. Taking place after the events of Dying Light 2, this standalone chapter returns Kyle Crane to the series with a redesigned parkour system that incorporates new movement options and a bestial transformation mechanic tied to an experimental mutation. The open world is dense with zombie-infested zones that behave differently during day and night cycles, with infected becoming dramatically more aggressive and numerous after dark. The crafting system allows players to build improvised weapons from scavenged materials, and the progression tree rewards players who lean into the game's high-risk exploration style consistently. At number 3, Zombie Army 4 Dead War is the most purely satisfying third-person co-op zombie shooter available on Switch 2. Set in an alternate history version of World War II Europe, where Hitler has raised an undead army, the game drops up to 4 players into large-scale horde-clearing missions with an arsenal of modified period-accurate weapons and supernatural abilities. The X-ray kill cam returns from previous entries, delivering slow-motion visual feedback on critical shots that never gets old across hundreds of kills. The progression system adds persistent upgrades to weapons and character skills, and the campaign is structured into missions that work equally well in solo or cooperative sessions. Deadzone Rogue lands at number 4 as the freshest zombie roguelite on the Switch 2 library. Released in March 2026, this top-down survival shooter drops players into a procedurally generated post-apocalyptic setting, where each run brings a different layout, enemy configuration, and weapon pool to work through. The roguelike structure means death sends you back to the start, with only permanent upgrades retained, creating a loop that builds in difficulty and complexity the further into the meta progression you advance. The pick-up-and-play nature of its session design makes it particularly well-suited to the Switch 2's handheld mode, and the visual style balances grit and clarity in a way that keeps the action readable even in dense enemy clusters. Number 5 is Resident Evil Village, a visually spectacular survival horror experience that blends gothic castle exploration with action-oriented zombie and creature combat. Following Ethan Winters through a remote European village overrun with mutated enemies and ruled by 4 lords with distinct abilities and arenas, the game delivers the most varied and ambitious enemy roster in recent Resident Evil history. The first-person perspective makes every encounter feel immediate and personal, and the merchant system allows players to craft and upgrade weapons between chapters in ways that meaningfully impact survivability. The Winters expansion DLC adds the Shadows of Rose story campaign and the third-person mode for the main game. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard earns the 6th spot as the game that redefined the entire franchise when it launched, and remains one of the most terrifying zombie-adjacent survival horror experiences on any platform. Ethan Winters arrives at a derelict Louisiana plantation to find his missing wife, only to discover the property is controlled by the Baker family, a group of grotesquely mutated individuals with seemingly unlimited endurance. The first-person perspective combined with tight corridor environments and severely limited resources creates a sustained atmosphere of dread that very few games have matched before or since. The Switch 2 version benefits from improved loading times and stable performance that enhances the tension of every room transition. Dying Light Platinum Edition lands at number 8 as the most content-complete zombie parkour survival game on the platform. The Platinum Edition bundles the base Dying Light campaign alongside all released DLC, including the following expansion, which opens up a massive rural open world accessible by buggy, alongside the main city of Heron. The free-running movement system remains the most fluid and expressive traversal mechanic in any zombie game, and the day-night cycle fundamentally changes how players must approach exploration and combat depending on the hour. For players new to the series, this edition is the most comprehensive starting point available. At number 9, Resident Evil 4 Remake is the gold standard of third-person action survival horror and a defining achievement in how to redesign a classic. Capcom rebuilt the 2005 original from the ground up with modern controls, expanded character writing, and a reworked AI system that makes the Los Eliminados enemies feel genuinely unpredictable and dangerous. Leon S. Kennedy's mission to rescue the president's daughter across a Spanish rural setting delivers one of the most well-paced and varied campaigns in the genre, moving through villages, castles, and military compounds with a consistent escalation in scale and threat. The Separate Ways DLC adds Ada Wong's Parallel story as a fully developed standalone experience. Number 10 is Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP, the most energetic and over-the-top zombie action game on the Switch 2. The remastered return of Juliet Starling brings the chainsaw-wielding cheerleader back with upgraded graphics, improved controls, faster combat pacing, and new difficulty modes that cater to both casual players and those seeking a more demanding challenge. The zombie comedy tone is relentless and irreverent throughout, and the combat system rewards aggressive play with style ratings that unlock additional cosmetics and bonuses. The Switch 2 edition includes an exclusive gun-shooting minigame unlocked after completing the main story, which adds a bonus layer of content for players who want more after the credits roll. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted lands at 11 as the most accessible and strategically satisfying tower defense zombie game on the platform. This refreshed version of the original Plants vs. Zombies brings updated visuals, rebalanced gameplay, and quality-of-life improvements that make the core loop of placing plant units to defend against increasingly varied zombie waves feel even more refined than the already beloved original. The variety of plants and zombies available across the campaign is generous, and the escalating complexity of enemy formations rewards players who invest time into understanding each unit's strengths and optimal placement. It is the most family-friendly title on this list while still offering genuine strategic depth. Zombie Army Trilogy earns the 12th spot as the definitive collection of the series' original 3 campaigns, and a substantial package for players who want maximum content from a single purchase. All 3 campaigns are included alongside co-op support for up to 4 players, and the supernatural alternate history setting gives the game a distinctive tone that separates it from more grounded military shooters. The X-ray kill cam system is present and satisfying throughout, and the Horde mode offers a separate wave survival challenge that extends the game's replayability significantly beyond the linear campaign missions. The Switch 2 version runs at a stable frame rate that keeps the action fluid during the game's most demanding Horde sequences. Death Road to Canada arrives at 13 as the most darkly comedic and replayable zombie road trip roguelite on the platform. Players manage a group of survivors driving northward toward Canada during a zombie apocalypse, making decisions at each stop about resource management, recruitment, and the increasing moral compromises required to keep the group alive and moving. The pixel art combat is chaotic and intentionally rough, and the procedural generation of events and locations means no 2 runs feel identical across dozens of hours of play. The character interaction system generates genuinely funny and unexpected moments throughout each attempt, and permadeath keeps the stakes meaningfully high throughout. Resident Evil Revelations comes in at number 14 as the most tense and atmospheric entry in the Resident Evil series available on Switch 2. Set primarily on an abandoned ocean liner called the Queen Zenobia, this entry strips away the action-heavy approach of its contemporaries and returns to a slower, resource-conscious pace that rewards careful movement and deliberate enemy management. Jill Valentine is the primary protagonist, and the claustrophobic corridor design of the ship creates a constant sense of environmental threat that complements the grotesque enemy designs throughout. The Raid mode offers a separate cooperative progression system that extends the game well beyond its main campaign. Number 15 is Resident Evil Revelations 2, which expands on the previous entry with a dual campaign structure that follows Claire Redfield and Barry Burton across an isolated island facility overrun with mutated creatures. The 4-episode format and cooperative play options give this entry a distinct rhythm compared to other entries in the series, and the scavenging and crafting mechanics add a layer of resource strategy that makes ammunition management feel genuinely meaningful. The raid mode returns with more content and a deeper progression system than its predecessor, and the overall tonal balance between horror and action sits comfortably between the franchise's two dominant approaches. No More Room in Hell 2 lands at 16 as the most realistic and mechanically grounded cooperative zombie survival game on this list. The sequel to the beloved Source Engine mod builds its experience around communication, resource scarcity, and the constant awareness that a single mistake can cascade into a team wipe. The setting drops players into dense, atmospheric environments where ammunition is scarce, melee is risky, and the zombie behavior prioritizes unpredictability over simple wave patterns. Team coordination is not optional, but fundamental, and the stakes of each encounter are kept high by the permanent nature of death within a given session. It is one of the most demanding co-op experiences on the platform. Into the Dead 2 arrives at number 17 as the most accessible and immediately engaging auto-runner zombie survival game available on Switch 2. Players sprint through fields of infected, collecting weapons and power-ups while trying to cover as much distance as possible before being overwhelmed. The upgrade system between runs allows meaningful progression, and the story mode adds context and structure to what could otherwise feel like a purely mechanical experience. The variety of weapons and companion animals available as unlockables gives players consistent short-term goals across an extended play session. It is a shorter and more casual experience than most titles on this list, but executes its specific format with exceptional polish. 7 Days to Die earns the 18th spot as the deepest and most systems-rich zombie survival crafting game on this list. The game combines open-world exploration, base building, resource gathering, and horde defense into a single seamlessly integrated experience, where every decision made during the week builds toward, or detracts from, the survival of the Blood Moon horde that arrives every 7th in-game day. The crafting system is expansive and rewards experimentation with traps, fortifications, and weapon modifications. And the skill progression system lets players specialize their character toward combat, building, or scavenging archetypes over extended sessions. The Switch 2 version delivers the most portable version of this PC survival staple. State of Decay 2 lands at number 19 as the most community management-focused zombie survival game on the platform. Rather than following a single protagonist, players manage an entire survivor community with distinct skills, traits, and relationships, making decisions about resource allocation, base expansion, and mission prioritization that affect the well-being of everyone under their care. Permanent death for individual survivors creates genuine emotional investment in each character's survival, and the open world is designed to reward thorough exploration with resources and recruits that meaningfully strengthen the community. The cooperative multiplayer allows a friend to join and assist across any active playthrough. Dead Cell's Return to Castlevania Edition arrives at number 20 as the most mechanically precise and replayable action roguelite on this list. The main game's fluid combat and procedurally generated level structure are supplemented by the Return to Castlevania DLC, which introduces iconic locations, enemies, and music from the Konami franchise into the Dead Cells framework. While not a traditional zombie survival game, the undead enemy roster and gothic horror aesthetic align closely with the genre's core appeal. The Switch 2 version runs at a crisp frame rate and benefits from the console's handheld mode for bite-sized run sessions that feel complete in 15 to 30 minutes. Darkwood comes in at 21 as the most atmospherically unsettling survival horror experience on this entire list. The top-down perspective and procedurally generated forest setting create a sense of spatial disorientation that most horror games never achieve, and the day-night structure forces players to scavenge and fortify during daylight hours before barricading themselves in a shelter at night against increasingly aggressive and unpredictable threats. The story is delivered through environmental discovery and fragmented encounters with other survivors, building a deeply unsettling narrative without conventional cutscene presentation. It is a slow, demanding, and genuinely frightening experience that rewards patient players with one of the medium's most memorable survival atmospheres. The Walking Dead: The Final Season lands at number 22 as the most narratively powerful zombie experience on this list, and one of the most emotionally resonant games in the genre across any platform. Clementine's concluding chapter delivers 4 episodes of decision-driven survival horror set against a backdrop of a zombie-infested boarding school where a community of children has established a fragile and threatened sanctuary. The choices players make carry genuine weight throughout, and the character writing achieves a level of emotional depth that has become the Telltale series' defining contribution to the zombie genre over its entire run. The episodic format makes this well-suited to short gaming sessions across multiple evenings. Stubbs the zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse earns the 23rd spot as the most unique and genre-subverting zombie experience on the platform. Rather than surviving a zombie apocalypse, players control Stubbs himself, a shambling undead protagonist who must spread infection through a retro-futuristic 1950s city by devouring civilians and converting them into members of his growing horde. The horde can be directed as a group, creating emergent chaos that makes each encounter feel unpredictable and entertaining. The tonal commitment to absurdist comedy throughout makes this one of the most genuinely fun and distinct experiences available in the zombie genre on Switch 2. Deadcraft arrives at 24 as one of the most creative hybrid zombie survival crafting games on the platform. The central mechanic involves a half-zombie protagonist who can harvest zombie parts to craft weapons, tools, and ultimately grow zombie crops as a sustainable resource supply in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The farming loop, combined with action combat and base building, creates a gameplay rhythm unlike anything else on this list, blending genre conventions in ways that feel genuinely fresh. The story explores themes of identity and belonging through the protagonist's dual nature, and the resource economy built around zombie cultivation rewards players who invest in its systems rather than relying purely on combat. Closing the list at 25, Night at the Gates of Hell is the most deliberately retro and stylistically distinctive zombie game on Switch 2. This low-budget independent release delivers a top-down survival horror experience inspired by classic B-movie zombie cinema, with intentionally grainy visuals, practical effect-inspired gore, and a deliberately paced gameplay loop focused on managing limited resources against relentless enemy pressure. The atmosphere captures a specific era of zombie filmmaking with genuine affection, and the challenging difficulty keeps tension consistently high throughout. For players who appreciate the genre's cinematic roots as much as its mechanical evolution, this is a rewarding and distinct entry that stands apart from every other title on this list.